Hi folks, today I'm going to do a quick video of something that I have from notes that I took a couple of years ago. And this video is inspired by another YouTuber that calls herself RF Hecky. I think her name is Susie. Um, I really like her videos, and I'm not sure why she doesn't get more views. She's got some really interesting stuff. And the other reason why I'm interested in what she's doing is because like me, she has a high focus on the book. I believe that the book, the Thrill of the Chase book specifically, is key to the chase, almost to the point where I think it's required. I don't go into other third party books like she does. I did in the past. I mean, I read the Trapper Journal, I read Catcher in the Rye, but right now my focus is just on the Thrill of the Chase. But I've been watching all of Susie's videos, and the recent ones kind of inspired me to do this because I discovered a few things that I don't think that she's discovered yet. And I tried to get in touch with her because I wanted to discuss those with her, I guess in private first. She never got back to me, so I'm going to put it out there in the video, and hopefully she'll see this video, and maybe, it'll give her some more ideas. If not, then, maybe people who watch her videos will also see this stuff, and maybe it'll help, the community more as a whole, try to see where Susie's coming from and also where I'm coming from. If you haven't seen Susie's videos or RF Hecky's videos, I'll leave a link to her channel below. But I don't agree with where she thinks the chest is, but that's fine. I mean, everybody has their own ideas of where it is. But I have to say that she's doing some excellent research. And Susie, if you're watching this right now, I just wanted to give you another thing that's kind of unrelated to this. But Our Ladies of the Rockies is 90 feet tall, which happens to be how deep the water was where they found Skippy. I don't know if you're going to find any correlation between that, but I just wanted to give that to you because I know you're looking in that area up near Butte, Montana, and maybe that's something else to help you. So anyway, the stuff that she found out that from reading My War for Me, there's a lot of connections and a lot of discussion around Philadelphia and a lot of discussion around centuries in the book. And if you look back in history, obviously 1776 was an important day. That's when we got the Declaration of Independence signed at Independence Hall. And that is not specifically mentioned, but in U.S. history, obviously it's extremely big date. So he mentions centuries. So I had come to this conclusion a little bit different than R.F. Hecky did, and I'll explain that in just a minute. But 1876 was our centennial. We were celebrating our 100th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. During that year, Ulysses S. Grant was the president. And for those of you who have been searching for a while, I know that you'll see the connection here to Grant, Ulysses S. Grant. So it's in a couple of scrapbooks, if I remember. But R.F. Hecky discusses the Centennial Exposition that they had in Philadelphia that year. It was a big deal, to celebrate our 100th anniversary. And they had a lot of inventions come in or about to be invented were shown there. But many things in addition to that happened that year. The National League of Professional Baseball Clubs was formed. We had two Indian wars, of course, Battle of Little Bighorn and the Battle of Rosebud. And both of those took place in Montana and Wyoming. Of course, Custer died that year. One thing you may not know is Texas A&M University, which is also, of course, mentioned in the Thrill of the Chase, that opened in 1876 and began taking classes. Okay, so there's a reference to it. Again, 1876 in the book. On June 4th, 1876, and the very first transcontinental train arrived in San Francisco on the Transcontinental Railroad. The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain was published in the USA in 1876. Wild Bill Hickok was killed. Some of these things may not be related. The first cremation that took place in the United States by a Frenchman. The crematory was built by a Frenchman, and that took place in 1876. Heinz tomato ketchup was introduced. Now, I want to mention an interesting aside from that. Heinz olive jar was jar number 43. If you look on the internet, you'll find there's actually a PDF file of all of the jars that Heinz created, and Owens created actually the jar. But you could find all the reference numbers. They also have jar number 364, which had Duchess green olives packed by hand. He mentions the olive jars look like they were put in there by hand. That is jar number 364. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri, markets the first Budweiser. The very first carousel. Now, I think this is the stuff that RF Hecky, I don't think she mentioned this, but I know she's into reading A Catcher in a Rye. And she had mentioned that Forrest's Thrill of the Chase takes over where The Catcher in a Rye left off. The Catcher in a Rye leaves off on the carousel. Well, the first carousel, it existed at Coney Island. It was built and it was displayed in 1876 at that exposition. Okay. Also, electricity. Electricity wasn't technically invented then, but in 1876, just before the light bulb, Charles Busch invented the open coil dynamo or generator that was producing steady current of electricity. Okay. Other things, and this is in the RF Hecky video. These are my notes here from a long time ago, but Kodak was an exhibitor there. Bananas that she pointed out. Until the expositions, bananas were virtually unknown in America. The telephone was invented there. Statue of Liberty hand was sent there. The typewriter was invented. The sewing machine was invented. Now, I'm sure that you can see connections between all of this stuff, especially in a lot of the scrapbooks. But a lot of it's in the book, too. You know, where he's talking about grabbing a banana. And then Kodak, we have the Kodak film code 109 on the picture with the chest. And again, a convertible portmanteau and bathtub was invented in 1876 by Ethelbert Watts of Philadelphia, PA. And you know what, that's a reference to the 36-inch bathtub. So pretty much I had a lot of the same notes that she had, a couple of additional ones. I'm not tying any of this to Butte. I end up in Wyoming because of this, and I end up around the Jim Bridger Trail. At least that was back when I was researching this. Because I know the Jim Bridger Trail cut right up through Wyoming, and it also goes past Powell, which is the location where we had the issue on the map where the dot is missing on the original map. Well, there's one thing I haven't seen her mention yet. In the Centennial Exposition, 100 years after that, in 1976, and I remember this because I was growing up in New Jersey in 1976, and we had a lot of celebrations for the bicentennial. Well, at the bicentennial, the building that was used to house a lot of these inventions then became known as the Please Touch Museum. Okay? Please Touch Museum. It's a children's museum located in Philadelphia. And it says here, after the exposition, Memorial Hall reopened in 1877 as the Pennsylvania Museum of Art and included the Pennsylvania Museum School of Industrial Art. In 1928, the museum was moved to Fairmont at the head of the Benjamin Franklin Parkway, and in 1938 was renamed the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Memorial Hall continued to house the school and afterward was taken over by the Fairmont Park Commission in 1958. The museum school is now the University of Arts. The building was later used as a police station and has now been renovated to house the Please Touch Museum. The Please Touch Museum exhibits a beautiful 20 by 30 foot model of the Centennial grounds and 200 buildings. Okay, you could see the this was what I guess an artist rendition of the Centennial grounds and all the buildings, and of course that's the Memorial Hall, and this is now the Please Touch Museum. Okay, you can see this. I'm surprised I never have seen anybody else find this yet. Of course, it's out there now, but I wanted to put it out there because I wanted to make sure that RF Hecky sees this, because I think that it might help her out too, and certainly to help other people out. And I don't need to go out of my way to explain Please Touch and Children's Museum, Please Touch. Okay, again, this was formed in 1976 at the Bicentennial, and it's in the same location as the Centennial that she is talking about. Now, look at some of the stuff they have there. Alice in Wonderland and the River Adventures play areas. Does that sound familiar? City Capers features John Wanamaker's Rocket Monorail, which incidentally, that was the monorail that inspired Walt Disney. And then he's talking here, the defunct department store, part of the set from Captain Noah and his Magical Ark TV show. Space Station, which features a series of cases with over 3 decades of Star Wars toys. And then they have the Please Taste Cafe. Roadside attractions, a couple of other things. Okay. Now they got a replica of the lead horse on the Woodside Park Carousel. That is the carousel that was at the Centennial. And it's made by the same exact company that created the carousel that was in Coney Island. Incidentally, I'm from New Jersey. That same company also created a carousel that was on the boardwalk in Seaside, which is the one that burned down recently. Fortunately, that carousel did not get destroyed. That's actually been replaced 2 or 3 times now. I think it's still in a museum. So, anyway, that was built by the Denzel Carousel Company. And right there, you can see the connection there to what she was talking about, that the Catch and Rye ends with a carousel. Well, there's a carousel in the Please Touch Museum. Of course, the Please Touch Museum is pretty much the kind of thing that Forrest talks about in the entire chapter of Teachers with Ropes. So I think that this is important, and I said I was going to say this later. This is actually what I found first when I was researching My War for Me during the year. It was probably last winter when I discovered it. But I found the Please Touch Museum first. And then I found this, and then I kind of worked backwards and found the Centennial Exposition that she's talking about. And when you research that year, of course, here's where it ties in to Stout-Hearted Men, and this ties into Scrapbook. The baseball has a lot of ties, of course. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, he's covering it up with his thumb. There were no electric incandescent light bulbs that year. They didn't come until, I think, 3 years later when Edison got his. The first one came in Paris, the first incandescent light bulb, which was 1877, I think, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, it was dark. You put your thumb over Philadelphia and covered up the people. But, is this a reference to that? I don't know. But I'm putting this out there just because I thought that I know for sure RF Hecky will find it interesting. And Susie, let me know, if there's anything else you want to discuss. I have a lot of research from the book that I don't know if a lot of it's rabbit holes or not, because I kind of backed away from researching things outside of the book. I don't know how much of it's relevant, and I was getting in a lot of rabbit holes. So I kind of backed away from it, but that doesn't mean that I did the right thing. And like I said, I really enjoy your videos. I think you do a good job, a great job actually, and I'm surprised that you don't get more views. I'm going to leave a link to your channel below, and hopefully people will go and check out your channel. Hopefully you see this video, and hopefully the Please Touch Children's Museum is going to give you more ideas, maybe help you out with your solve in Montana. So that's really all I have to say in this video, and I hope everybody has a great day, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye. Before I go, I just wanted to also say, here we got the pleasetouchmuseum.org. This is that website. This is a map of the main and lower levels of what exhibits are in there, in case you want to research this a little bit more. There's also a wiki page dedicated to the Please Touch Museum right here. Shows you where it is, got the link to it. Here's the carousel. If you go to the wiki page for the Centennial and you read it, let me see where it is. Right here. Okay, that's the same hall that they used in 1876. And there's a lot of information here, and most of it RF Hecky already talked about, so I kind of don't want to rain on her parade. You can go over to her website and get this information. The only thing I kind of wanted to add to it was some of the other interesting things that happened that year and the Please Touch Museum. So again, have a great day, folks. I'll talk to you later.